What'd you say?
Okay, all right. That was enough.
Use that power.
I just got texted. I'm going to ask that everybody's mics be turned on. And I'll call the meeting to order, and if we can stand for the pledge, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll go over the roll call.
Commissioner Robbins,
Here.
Commissioner Walter,
Here.
Commissioner Bunning,
Present.
Commissioner Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here and present.
Commissioner Oliver, here. Chairman Yoder,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have approval of board minutes. I believe we got 3 sets of minutes here to approve. So I'll take Mr. Wessel.
I'd like to take the minutes from the executive board session off of this month's approval. I'll explain it during commissioner comments, but we did get those last night. There were 28 pages or something, and I think they need some review.
Okay.
Sorry.
That wasn't a motion. We need a motion to approve the ones. Mr. Bunny.
I make a motion to close session Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, and then the closed session Tuesday, October 14th, 2025.
Supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. Do you have any late additions or deletions? Mr. Robbins?
I'd like to add one addition, 2% appreciation letter to the tribe.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that, or should we do it before closed session?
That's, yeah. Probably.
Why don't we add it right after item 2? 2A. Any other additions or deletions?
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
All right, support, moved and supported.
Support.
Commissioner Bunny, originally. So, any discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. And that we have an agenda. Do we have any conflict of interest among commissioners here tonight with items on the agenda here? All right. Not, we'll move on to communications, and first we'll start out with an update from our administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple things to report. One significant thing that is unrelated to tonight's meeting. Last week, I did have an extensive, probably 2-hour meeting with the new executive director of the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Authority. And I must say, based upon that meeting, I came away very, very impressed that NLCMH is in very good hands. This is an individual that is quite well versed, not just in the mental health field itself, but in the administration of it. The thing that I found most refreshing is she instead of telling us what she was going to provide to us, she asked questions about how she could best interact with us as a board and how frequently we wanted reports from her. And that was a good part of the discussion, because it was not just me, it was all the other county administrators from the other 5 members of the CMH, district CMH, that were present. And there was a very frank and very good discussion regarding the reports that have not been provided in the past from NLCMH and will be provided in the future. So she also asked that we would give her until either April or May to basically get the financial ship sailing in the right direction and come to us for a extended presentation regarding their situation financially, which she described as threadbare. Basically, they're able to pay their bills, but there still are unresolved financial disputes with the PHP, Northern Michigan Regional Association, regional entity, NRME. Yeah. There's still disputes regarding lookbacks in the audits of previous years and how far we're going to go back. That's still pending. But she thinks by May she'll be able to give us a good indication of where they stand. As for things on tonight's agenda, you'll see under action item number 1, I did place at your table an amended EDS that gives the details that you actually requested last meeting. Fortunately, Lena Vanderdoen completed it to discuss the travel that was proposed to be approved for her to travel to the out-of-state conference in Atlanta. And she has provided details and a not to exceed amount of $3,500 for that. And you'll see details in the EDS, which you may wish to use data or the motion proposed in that EDS to inform your decision on the motion when that item comes up. You'll also see there was the only really true late addition is a credit card limit usage request that with the change in finance directors, we're proposing that we distribute the way we utilize the $15,000 credit limit. Just for your information, that card, we have a business card that permits on the total account $15,000 in credit. And in the past, there's been I've had $1,000, the board chair has had $1,000, and finance director has $7,500. I'm proposing you change that to have $7,500 for the finance director, $5,000 for myself, $1,000 for the board chair. And you'll see in the EDS, the reason for that is primarily that it coincides with the spending authority that I have under the board budget rules, number 1. And number 2, the card is primarily used to book conferences and hotel rooms and that sort of thing when employees go to conferences in state and out of state. And typically, the amount that would be outstanding on the card exceeds $1,000. So with $7,500 limit for the finance director, we were only in a position to have, that one person that was able to make and follow up on those, to make those reservations. And I think to have myself and the finance director be able to do that will greatly contribute to getting those things done as quickly as possible. I also provided to you, there are a couple letters that you'll see on your desk regarding primarily from the Lake Bluffs Homeowners Association and other residents that address issues that are related to the presentation by the Drain Commissioner this evening. We also have 2 additional closed session items that for your consideration. There are legal opinions from legal counsel and Matt Nordford from our law firm, Tolstoy Prantosky, is present and be in the closed session with you and be able to answer further questions. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that there were 3 reasons that we'll be entering closed session, and motion that is before you, proposed motion is before you addresses that. And as indicated by Commissioner Robbins, I did prepare at your direction a letter to the Grand Traverse Band regarding our gratitude for their 2% grants recently issued. A copy of that is in front of you for review, and the original signature copy is with the board chair. And when we get to that item, and I presume that he will forward that letter for you to sign. The final thing that I'd like to do is see if there he is. I'd like to introduce to you Sean Cowan, who has started today. Actually, he and I met yesterday, so it's real legitimate. Start day was yesterday. We took a little bit of our day off to start doing some planning regarding the finance department. But I wanted to give him an opportunity to introduce himself and possibly answer some general questions about his reasons for taking this position and the things that he expects to do. And I promised him that he would not ask any questions about tonight's finances, because he hasn't had a chance to review that. I just got started today. So, Sean.
Hello, how are you doing?
Welcome back.
Hey, Gwen. I was just happy I found my way back to the corner today, so I didn't expect to lay out a whole lot of stuff at this point, but I can tell you my general thoughts over the last few days as we were working towards this, I guess, is when I sit back and think about what I think I can help with, I hope I can help with, is it would be my overriding focus is really on how do we stabilize in the environment that we're in right now. I totally understand change and transition can cause concern. I believe in the staff of this county. I believe the people in this building, and honestly, that's my number one consideration and concern. As I've had a chance to talk with the administrator, I think there's some things on the horizon that I throw in the bucket of kind of taking the next step in terms of making the finance role here sustainable. And I know that's something we've talked about over time. It's a journey, and I look forward to partnering with this administrator and this board. I think there's some things we could do in a relatively short time focus. I mean, I'm looking at 60 days. Let's stabilize and look at some, what I think of as just do it or quick hit kind of things that are probably in that bucket of making this sustainable. And I will be as transparent and the door's open. So if you have any questions, concerns, I'm always available to discuss those. So that's all I had, unless there's questions.
Just glad to go to the door though. I ask a lot of questions and they'll tell you I ask too many questions, but they're headed just so I have a better knowledge of what's going on with our finances.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what I know and what I don't know. So.
Okay.
Any other burning questions?
Really glad to have you.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you for coming, Sean.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
That's all that I have, Mr. Chair.
Any questions for our administrator? Mr. Money?
Yeah, I just wondered about the credit cards. Is this going to affect the sheriffs or the clerks?
No,
Does it
they
have
have-
anything to do with?
No, they have a separate account.
But are they in that $15,000 limit as well? Theirs is totally different. Oh,
It's a separate account number. The account that we access is just for the administration of finance department.
does the treasurer have one as well?
I honestly don't know the answer to that, but I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Any other questions for our administrator? All right, thank you. Next up, we have our drain commissioner, Mr. Onan and Mr. Sensi, I believe.
Good evening. Finally made it. Well, you've had the summary, I think it was handed out to you a week ago. And what I'd like to be able to do with Brian here is go through each drain that's coming up this year. We're hoping to probably have try and bid all four, but probably 3 out of the 4 will go to bid this year. And we've had a lot of work. Mr. Christensen did a good job of leaving a truckload of work behind. So, and so we've been working at it. And what I'd like to do is have Brian run through each one here, and I'll tag team with him on questions and answers. And before we start though, does anybody, in looking over the summary, did you have any questions right off the top, or?
I'd recommend going through it. And then
Okay,
all
right.
After each one,
Sure.
open up the questions.
Okay, sure. Okay.
So yeah, as Tim explained, this is something that I've done the last several years with Steve as well. Usually in February, I think, or a lot of times it was the March meetings, where we just give an overview, particularly what projects we thought would be going to bid construction and would be then assessed this year. So they would go on like the following December 1st taxes, so that the board had an idea where things were at. So the first project, the Little Glen Lake Drain, this one is going to bid next month, probably only 3 weeks away from bidding it. And we're going to have a day review in April. The total project cost, what we're estimating and whatnot, you'll see down at the bottom. Those are just kind of estimates to give. I put this together originally back in 2020. We started doing this to give townships in the county, any of the at-larges, an idea of just the general ballpark of what they were looking at for assessment, so they could start budgeting. This isn't normally done with other counties and whatnot, but we felt it was the best way to give some of the townships that's never dealt with drain issues and paying assessments an idea. And you'll notice in this project, all the work, 99% of the work is in M22 right away. And through relationship with MDOT and some of the people that work with county drain commissioners at MDOT and their drainage division, when we got a petition on this project, we got a commitment from MDOT to paying the bulk of this project. And we just came from our annual drain commissioners conference last week, and we met with MDOT again about the project. in regards to the cost, and things are right on line with what they expected. There's 16 total properties. What we kind of anticipate is that the property owners will pay between $1,500 to $2,000 per property, kind of in that range. There's a small amount for the county and the township, and then we've got MDOT at roughly around 92% of the project. But this is to fix kind of a drainage issue on the, what would be the south side of M22, on the south side of Little Glen Lake, in through there. And water basically sits on that side of the road. County Road Commission had done some work in front of the manor there a couple of years ago to try to resolve some of the issue, and that really didn't take care of it. So this will be installing an underground drain, perforated with holes so that there's a lot of groundwater that comes in through there, and a lot of seeps, artesian wells and whatnot, coming up on that side of Little Glen Lake. So it'll take subsurface drainage, and then we're outletting it through, we're putting a new crossing under the road and outletting it through. There actually is an existing pipe on one of the landowners' property. So this one has the least amount of unknowns left. We kind of the last minute, the state, after telling us we didn't need to get a permit, there's some transplanted monkey flower, which is a threatened and endangered federal species, that was transplanted right in the location of where we're outletting. So we had to go through and get a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service permit as part of it. We don't have the permit yet, but we've met with them and submit our application. And so we don't foresee any issues beyond what we've already included. So we're going to be moving forward with bidding. We've had a lot of communication with the landowners in this area, because we're kind of going to be working entirely in the south side of that right away. And so we sent out basically surveys to make sure that people didn't have sprinklers, if they had landscaping that they wanted kept, to tell us about it, and to move it if they wanted it to stay in place. And then any other issues, if they want, we will be providing like sump leads to all the properties, because most of them have sump pumps or dry wells that they drain to now, but they'll be able to hook into the county drain when we're all done. So we'll provide like a tap, and then they have to hook in the tap as part of it. So the only thing on the construction, it will most likely be in the fall, because we kind of committed, Steve did up front when he undertook the petition, that he promised them he wouldn't work during the 3 summer months, so between Memorial Day and Labor Day. So because the process is pushing, we'll leave it up to the contractor, but they will only have maybe a month to do it pre-Memorial Day. So most likely, because contractors are busy, it'll probably be this fall, which is actually the preference of the landowners.
Yeah, but only one lane closure too.
Yeah, and we've got it down to only one lane closure. There is a detour set up, but MDOT's worked with us on the permit and the way that we'll construct the roads, so we can only have it down for one day and then have it back up. So.
And you've gotten return on all the surveys except for.
Yeah, we got return on all the surveys we sent out to all the landowners except one property owner. So we've had good correspondence and feedback from all the landowners on that one. Any questions on that one?
Questions on the Little Glen Lake?
Yeah, how much did you say was covered by MDOT? 80?
92% we've got right now.
Bid is 300,000.
Original what?
Bid is 300,000.
I mean, there's not,
Up to 500,000.
the original estimate was at 300,000. I don't remember what we started this one at. This was, I don't think it was that.
Did you have something, Rick, that
I don't think it was 300. I think it was more, because this one just had a,
What I was told originally, it was estimated for 300.
yeah, no, this one hasn't changed that much. Because this one just had a board determination in November 24, right before Steve left. We did Elmwood and this one at the same time. And the scope, MDOT added a little bit of work to pick up a low area further down, so extend about 250 feet of pipe. But the cost in this one has stayed about the same.
I guess the question I will ask now, since we're on the first one, we learned here 2 or 3 weeks ago that, you know, we already started these drain districts, but we've been told that they may not have to be drain districts. It could be soil erosion can fix these problems, and county roads willing to work with you, Tim, and their engineer and everything. And put money back into the community rather than sending it downstate to for nothing against you, Brian. But I think our goal is to keep money local.
We have office in Traverse City.
What's that?
We have an office in Traverse City.
Traverse City, but still Leelanau County. I mean, if the county road commission is going to step up, are you willing to look and work with them maybe?
Well, yeah, of course, I'm willing to look at all the options, soil. You know, the comment about soil and erosion, I know it was brought up, I believe, by our treasurer a while back, in a public comment. And, you know, Lake Bluff's drain he was referring to, there's no way that soil and erosion would have helped there.
I'm not saying on every one, but you know, it should have, I mean, sooner or later, we're gonna have all these drain districts and we're gonna push all the average people out of our county because they can't afford to live here. Because these drainage, just the maintenance is gonna kill them.
That might be an exaggeration.
That's what I hear from them.
Well, of course. Nobody wants to pay,
I
nobody
know,
wants
I
to
know,
pay
but
maintenance
I
assessments.
wish we would maybe start looking at other options.
Uh-huh.
You know,
The door is open to that. I don't have any problem with that. Nobody, you know,
I mean, that's how it worked. Tim's worked the same way with Steve. We looked at a potential drain right down here, the price drain right and the narrows.
Yeah.
And we ended up resolving that through the soil erosion and through the county road commission. A lot of these were not the first take at trying to resolve the issue, like Schaumburg drain. I know Steve spent 10 years trying to do that way and then with the road commission and through soil erosion. In this case, I know this is all MDOT right away. So I'm not sure how
yeah.
Just one more question I have. I know you're our elected drain commissioner.
Yeah.
And what I see and what I'm hearing is our residents reach out to you.
Mhm.
But then they get the email from Brian. I mean, I felt
Well-
that was your job to respond back to the public, be the representative.
Well, I got plenty of emails from me.
What's
You know,
that?
there's plenty of emails from
I know,
me.
but I'm also seeing where there's an email, I've seen it personally, Tim,
Mhm.
and then boom, on that evening, Brian's sending
Yeah.
emails, and it's like, he's a contract, you're our drain commissioner.
Yeah, well, you know, this job is a technical job, okay, so there's a
understand
lot of technical information that comes from the engineer much easier. Okay, you know, I could take his information and
But at the hourly
Put it-
rate he's paying, you could answer these questions, that's your job, that's. what we're-
I can't answer all the questions, not some of these technical questions.
I mean, if I had a question for our finance director, I'm
Mhm.
supposed to go, you know, I don't think our audit firm is supposed to get back with me, the finance director should be.
Mhm.
I use that for example, I feel like you should
Yeah.
represent the people more.
Well, you know, Steve Christensen had a unique position here. He wore 2 hats, okay, and he had 1 desk. So he had the luxury that I don't have about being in this building every day. Okay, he was here every day, you know, wearing 2 hats, okay. You know, my other hat is land surveying, and it doesn't allow me to be here every day. So when I am here, okay, I am answering calls, I am answering emails, you know. And if I have to resort to Brian to get some technical information, I'm gonna do that. You know,
But I just feel like we're getting charged big bucks by him to send these emails to our residents.
I don't think we're being charged big bucks, but you know, there's a lot of engineering here. You know, you're looking at maybe some of these invoices. You know, like I said, Steve left a truckload of work to do here. this doesn't just happen with a magic wand.
I understand
Okay.
that.
So, there's a lot of engineering, there's a lot of time involved, and I just don't think Brian is overdid it when it comes to invoices or, I don't know what, I'm not sure what you're looking at exactly, but,
Well,
I-
I'm trying to help the residents out to save their
Mhm.
pocketbook here.
mhm,
I mean, I know we have a problem that we have to fix. I'm all for
Yeah.
fixing the erosion, but I think we gotta look at the big
Yeah.
picture here.
Well,
Not just make drainage issues.
Yeah. yeah. Well, I think we're doing a pretty good job, actually, tackling this right now. And there's always room for improvement, and of course, the door is open for that, we are communicating more with the people. We got a conference call set up with the Lake Bluffs people. Okay, they weren't too happy with the maintenance assessment, and we're gonna get together with them, and a lot of them aren't here right now, they're out of state, but we are gonna have a conference call with them. I think we've done a pretty good job, communicating. You're always gonna get people that don't see it that way, and
Guess the next question is, shut up, but, I mean, a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing happened 40, 30 years ago,
yeah,
because the drain commissioner, soil erosion, like
Yeah.
these people build on these hills, and
yeah,
there's no restrictions.
like
See
Lake
it
Bluff.
improving where we're gonna see maybe less drain districts because of,
Pardon?
do you see in the future, we're gonna see less drain districts because of better
Let's put it this way.
enforcement?
Let's put it this way. That's the drain commissioner. That's the last resort for the drain commissioner is to start a.
Soil erosion,
so,
you see
yeah.
better.
See, I work with, I communicate with Michael Burdick and Lori Schroeder. They're the technicians in soil and erosion. Okay, so we do communicate, and I try and I've gone out into the field and met with people like up in the Highlands, Leelanau Highlands, they're off of Lakeview Hills. They have a drainage issue in there. Okay. I told them, I would just tell them, well, to create a drainage district, you gotta have a petition, you gotta get signatures, you got go in front of a board of determination. If they determine it's a necessity, then, we go on with a drainage district, and that's gonna cost money. So, when I explain it to them, okay, I reached out to Gordy Frazier because they were the engineers there, and so I got them involved, with communicating to the people in the Highlands there. So I think I did my job there to deflect a drainage district. I'm not out there to create drainage districts in this county. This is something I inherited. These drainage districts I inherited. I didn't create them.
And they're all petition oriented.
Anytime you run for office, I inherited things too.
Yeah.
We knew that when we took the job.
Well, sure, that's fine, and I'm fine with it, but I'm not out there looking to create more districts.
Every one of these is petition oriented. So it's someone coming to the drain commissioner and petitioning through the law, through the drain code. Then he has to act, do certain things.
Yeah.
This little Glenn, I was dealing with this back in 2019. And Steve was putting it off because he didn't want to have too many districts going on at once, because he knew he could only do a couple at a time. So if anything, this one should have probably been done and gone already.
All right, we got one question here from Commissioner Elgar.
I just saw a lot of books like when you mentioned the conference call. I think you need to make sure that everyone in Lake Bluffs knows when that.
Yeah,
We haven't reached out on.
there's an email that as we speak, there's an email going to them, based on when we want to do a conference call. I mean, we're asking them we're asking them on when, a conference call is gonna work out best for them. But there's an email going out to them.
So if MDOT's covering 92% of the cost, now that was for a little Glen.
Yeah,
How much will the residents be assessed?
well, we were saying roughly between 1,500 and 2,000,
Total or every year?
Like per property.
Per
Total. Total,
per total.
total,
And will that go on their tax bill?
yes,
Well, they have an option of paying it, just paying it off.
right.
So
Or-
one
or-
time.
Mhm.
But for instance, for Lake Bluffs, is this a yearly assessment or?
No.
No, there was a maintenance assessment because we needed to apply a maintenance
And that's
assessment.
yearly,
No,
No,
okay.
and one of the things we want to meet with them about is because Lake Bluffs was the first project that went through all of this financing, assessing with the county getting BSNA software so they could even do the assessments and then transfer them to the township. And that's one of the things why we, Tim and I had met and wanting to have this meeting is because looks like we're going to try to include a little bit of cost from some of these other districts that now have the luxury of being much easier going through the process because Lake Bluffs went through it. Like we bid that twice. We went through the assessing twice. We came to you guys twice for full faith and credit.
and it was really
as
the
part
first,
of it.
it was really the
And so-
first district.
So there should be some more maintenance funds put in that account going forward so that there's a little bit of a kitty in Lake Bluffs going forward, even past what's already been assessed. But it's just a one-time, anytime you do maintenance assessment, it's a one-time assessment. It's not a yearly reoccurring thing because there's limits on what can be assessed per year. So it's a one-time thing. There were costs that extended through from construction from 2023 that the project was over. Steve knew that going, forward, we carried that all through 2024. And we were trying to do the maintenance assessment before he left last year, and we just didn't get it completed. So then we actually have maintenance costs, things that we have to do physically, like we have to clean out all the sumps of the catch basins because like they're all full, for example, with sediment. So we know we need to do that. So that's why we did the maintenance assessment this year to pay off the remaining construction costs that we had back from 2023. And then looking ahead, what we're going to do in 2026 for the maintenance work that we have to do. So that's why we did the maintenance assessment then.
So then you don't see any more, will there be ongoing maintenance though?
Like we anticipated every 3 years, we'd be doing maintenance in there for cleaning out of
And
the
you'll be
sumps.
assessing
Right.
every
But-
3 years.
That's just
Well,
like what we anticipated. Maybe it might be 5 years. Maybe it might be 4 years. It's based on need for the maintenance. The first time is usually gonna be the most and the most recent after. So here we're 2 years after and we're gonna need to do maintenance on it. So, but we kind of planned when we were doing this, like through the process, we were thinking like every 3 years, because that's a typical schedule for cleaning out of sumps in catch basins.
And on a new drain, you're gonna get more sediment at the beginning of it too.
But
But
Well, I'm glad you're here because communication is difficult. It's never fun to get a bill. So constant communication and
Mhm.
responding.
Yeah.
Is very, very important.
yeah, that's actually a bullet point for us is, we're gonna step it up when it comes to the communication.
Questions?
I have some questions too, but it seems like we started at the appendix or the table of
Kinda.
contents. So did you guys want to go through those?
If we could,
Yeah.
Then if we could have our general questions after we heard your presentation.
So the next one is the Elmwood Township #1 drain. This was also petitioned, and we had the board determination the same time last November 2024. We have two separate property owners where we need to get easements from. This was ultimately waiting for MDOT's work to be completed in M22. We did some significant lobbying. Tim and I went to the TSC twice last year and met with them, and they are allowed us to hook into their drainage system, which isn't normally allowed.
But we have a good relationship with them.
So,
you know,
they did their work. Some of the elevations and such came in a little bit higher, so we had to adjust some things, but ultimately we'll make it work. So we've sent out easements. We've actually had discussions with one of the property owners in regards to it. But once we have those easements in hand, we have no permitting on it. And we can move forward to bidding. So we anticipate that this one will be this year as well.
and we were on the phone with one of the property owners just before this meeting started. That's why we were kind of walking in right at the. So, you know, we are communicating when we can, you know, with people and.
This one does have, it's a large district. There's 700 plus properties in it. Because it extends all the way up the hill into like Morgan Lake Estates and pretty far to the west there. So we've got a general breakdown for what we anticipate, because there are 5 different at-larges in this particular one. The next one on the list, it probably won't go till 2027, but we'd like to bid it this fall. The Timberley drain is, we've got it all designed and completed. This has been an issue with, there's one property owner that basically owns what's considered Mount Josh / East Timberley Hills Drive. It's a private road that comes down to Fouch Road. It's right on Solon Township, Elmwood Township jurisdiction line. And it is a landowner that no longer lives here. They live in Texas. Steve and I spent a year and a half trying to get the easement for free. The first time we ever did it, I got a signed page back with just a sign not notarized and with a sticky note that said, "Here you go." And literally, the more we try to push to get it notarized, and when we set up mobile notaries, the more scared the property owner got. They're elderly, so we ended up dealing with their brother, who was an attorney. Their brother got frustrated after a year of it and basically said, "Just condemn the property. She's not going to fight you. She's not going to show up in court. You'll be able to, you know, whatever your good faith offer is, it'll get accepted." So after much deliberation and almost 3 years and trying to get this thing for free, even having someone go to the property daily for a couple weeks down in Texas, we move forward with condemnation. The issue is this same area of private road has been given out for 50 years to other property owners for easements, ingress, egress easements, utility easements for what at the time in the 70s probably was planned development up along Timberley Hills that never came about. So we have properties a mile away that have interest in this, and under the law we have to notify them, serve them when we would start the condemnation proceedings. So what we worked out with the attorneys was that we sent out waivers in January, the beginning of January, to 50 plus different property owners, asking them to sign a waiver so that they could basically remove themselves from the legal proceedings. So we won't even have to deal with the cost of like having them served, for example, which would be a significant cost. It's a nightmare. I know it's not the way we wanted to go, but it's we're not really sure how to push through it. We can't do the project without it.
Yeah,
It's
condemnation is the last resort. So we're here, you know, and We got quite a few waivers.
We've gotten a lot of waivers
Yeah,
back.
we got quite a few. back,
So that's promising. And we may do like a second round, now that we've talked to some people. Because some people just, we tried to make the letters as simple as possible and the waivers as simple as possible, but some people thought like they didn't sign it, meant that they were gonna get removed from the proceedings, so. But we have gotten a lot back. They have till the end of February, to return the waivers, what we requested. But basically, we're trying to get many people out of the court proceedings going forward. So then ultimately, when we actually file condemnation, if they don't contest, like if they didn't show up, it's basically 30 days and the judge will, rule on what our good faith offer was $3,000, what Steve had offered them a couple years ago. So
that's where.
as soon as that happens, we'll move forward to bid the project because everything else has been completed and we've just been waiting on this. It's been kind of difficult. We've talked a lot with the property owners along that stretch in there who want this done because they've been asking for the road to be paved and finished and be under some public jurisdiction for a while. So. And then the last one is the Schaumburg drain. So this was probably the most significant one that's changed from maybe a year ago when we gave an update on the projects. In looking back through what we had planned to do, Tim wanted to simplify down the project to a more basic system and ultimately just get the water from M22 to Lake Michigan. Rather than we originally were going to look at some detention areas and actually trying to move the water further downstream along M22 to another area where Steve had some relationship with the property owner down in that area. That was a little bit more expensive project. Ultimately, it was actually deemed not permittable by the state after we went through significant effort, or that it would be difficult for us to get a permit. I want to say it's not permittable. So Tim asked us to go back and look and refine the system. So right now we're trying to utilize early on in the project. One of the property owners gave us an easement along his property line running from M22 to Lake Michigan. That was always kind of held in our back pocket in case we needed it. The prior plan wasn't utilizing that. So we went back to that easement that we had gotten for free at the beginning of the project because it was a elderly man that was just trying to help out. The property's since sold, changed hands. And we were back working with their neighbor so that we can get the adjacent part of their lot in order to make this work. So we resubmitted a permit application to the state. And once we get some definitive, yes, you can do what's in our permit, then that property owner has kind of indicated to us, then we can go back to them and sign, okay, here's where we need an easement from, rather than guessing, here's our easement, then go to the state and then tell us, okay, you need to move this and then go back to the property owner. So we're kind of approaching it a little differently with the property owner. Hopefully that this will work out. But this project basically would just, the only thing that would change would be we'd be picking up the water that goes onto a person's property and under their property on the south side of north side of M22, putting it in a pipe underground and then discharging this underground in kind of a flow dissipation system in the sand dune area right before it goes to the beach. So it's not like a straight creek or channel along the beach to the lake. That was the only kind of thing that property owner had asked us not to do. So ultimately the state needs to wait till April because they have to come out and do a field assessment. We asked them to do a redetermination on the regulatory status of where the stream is, basically all along Schaumburg Road. If you've ever been down Schaumburg, You'll see on the east side of the road, there's a ditch. That ditch is a regulated stream because it pretty much always has water in it. It's a regulated stream all the way down through some private property down through 22. And then it goes down into kind of a wetland hole area in the ground on a person's property on Lake Michigan, and then goes under their house. So we asked the state to look into the regulatory status of the stream on that person's property. So that's one thing they'll kind of wait till it's good enough for them to review it. But we are hoping to actually bid this year. I mean, this is the only item that's kind of remaining. So.
Any questions, Mr. Money?
Yeah, I was wondering about on the Schaumburg drain, is that where the little, near where the little pond is there? Right by M22 and where Schaumburg comes out onto M22?
That field on the one side there?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's gonna continue to go,
sometimes that fills up.
yes,
Yeah.
it will continue to do that.
Oh, really? So it's not gonna be draining that water?
It will, there's actually, so
There's an overflow that.
there's an overflow system that we'll be building into that so that it can't get too
Sometimes it
high.
gets up on M22 and Schaumburg.
But we're
Right.
we're gonna have an overflow structure at the corner of Schaumburg and M22.
Okay, yeah.
That'll handle it.
And then that'll run along 22 and then hook into, there's a stream that was dug back in 2005 or 6. As part of a cross culvert that the road commission put in. This is going back to trying to resolve this with road commission and soil erosion 20 years ago.
Then when you get down to Lake Michigan, you're actually gonna have it just go onto the beach area?
No,
gonna be
it's
contained.
a flow, it's like an underground flow dissipator, so it's basically in a pipe and then it kind of goes out into a pipe with a bunch of holes and stone, kind of like a,
Drain field almost.
Yeah,
very much like a drain
yeah,
field.
kind of like a drain field.
There's kind of a little bit of a raised dune area above the beach that we've kind of looked at with that
Yeah.
property owner. So we're trying to work with that property owner, even though he gave us,
Sounds good.
the prior owner gave us
Yeah.
an easement. So
Yeah,
Tim's really asked, he's heard the concerns of the property owners about the cost. And so we've asked to look back and kind of refine that down of what we're doing. So,
so we've trimmed quite a bit off of it,
Yeah.
actually.
Seems to make a lot more sense this way.
Yeah,
cooperation by property owners is the biggest aspect. It's getting the easement. Ultimately, we're trying to get all these for free. We're not trying to pay for them.
Mr. Campbell? Mr. Russell?
I understand, Tim, you're saying in most of these cases, you didn't deal the hand. You're playing the hand you're dealt.
Yeah.
And I think through time, folks who've been paying attention to this have gotten an idea of how unilateral decisions are made in drains. It's not a democracy by any means. But I do, listen, you've heard this, so I'm just gonna go through this.
Sure.
From a constituent I received
Yeah.
and it's, like I said, it's nothing you haven't heard and it's nothing you haven't already
Mhm.
commented on and known that it takes an outreach. They're looking for more timely updates on the Drain Commission website.
Mhm.
They're looking for increased transparency on the cost of projects.
Mhm.
Not sure how that goes. I look at I look at the formula here and I make no sense of it. So let me continue, but
Okay.
especially I looked at the county and the road commission splits and I'm going, okay, sometimes it's 12.5, sometimes it's a third, and it just,
Mhm.
I don't understand that, and I'm not sure if there's anything on your website that explains it, or if it's gotta be possible to explain, because you're assessing it and you go on. There should be a better method of sharing the cost information. I think I went through that. Prior to a project going live, it should be presented to the county commissioners for informational purposes with likely cost. Can bring it to us, or I would suggest more likely, I mean, because we don't have much of an association.
Mhm.
Truthfully, I mean, a direct government to government association, but probably a big hearing is the best way to go. Not just for establishing it, but as progress is made,
Mhm.
progress updates through me, sound like you're getting close to that, to having one of those, so I applaud you for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
With the folks down, I think in Elmwood, you said.
Yeah.
So, and this goes to the relationship with Brian, and we have a bid process that we go through. It's easier not to,
Mhm.
but I think it benefits the public to go through an RFP process. And
Mhm.
Brian, I have no reason to doubt your skill and expertise, and that should be weighed into any decision as far as who is selected through that. But I like the process. I think it keeps
Mhm.
prices down for all of our constituents. And those are, I also last one, transparency of spending over the last 5 years with a sole source engineer. That would take some homework on the part of a constituent, and I think that goes more to the bidding process to take a look at that. And you probably have thoughts on that. I welcome your thoughts on it.
Well, Brian isn't anybody new here. Okay, he's been with, when did you start with Steve?
2018.
Yeah, 2018. Okay, so he was with Steve for quite a few years, and now he's with me. What I picked up from Steve, and this is Steve's words, that Brian has been, he saved the drain office a lot of money, actually, when it comes to the legal aspect of things too. He knows the drain code. That's what the drain code's his wheelhouse. He knows the drain code like no one else. Okay, he has to. Okay, the attorneys do also. Okay, but Brian has saved the drain office a lot of money just in the legal aspect. He'll run something, by me, and we'll put the documents together. I can make a quick phone call to the attorney just to maybe clarify a couple of things, but I know that they're good, and that adds up. Just in all this work right here, I can't even imagine, how many thousands of dollars, I'm sure we've saved, just because he has an expert, that's his part of his expertise is knowing the drain code, and this summary here that you have, this isn't, we're probably the only county that this is being done with, right?
Yeah, we were talking last week with other drain commissioners,
Yeah,
and we were,
this is something that Steve actually asked Brian to put together.
and other counties were
typically-
almost like aghast that we give this out with cost information. No, I've said it many times. You will not find cost information on drains ahead of time in any other county. I challenge anybody to go look. And someone to tell you a year or two out, it's going to cost this much and you're gonna pay roughly this much at this percent. No counties provide that, but Steve said he wanted, because this was new, to get as much of that out there ahead of time. So we've heard the issues about being transparent with the public and on more information on cost. And this was kind of a way to, to us, this is telling the townships or telling property owners, here's what we think it's gonna be, and so in my world, I work in this county and currently in 5 other different counties. No other counties provide cost information when, residents don't really get to have an idea of like what a total project is gonna cost. So this is an attempt to try to
Yeah,
delve that issue, but
if I may say though, that is Leelanau County. we're a county that really is involved in local government and there's just a caring around here that is gonna make folks dive deeper.
and I
that's
understand
where
that.
Yeah, it's not an easy, I mean, you gotta be pretty transparent.
And I understand that. That's why I'm saying, and I always, whenever I say this, like, this is my best educated guess of doing 25 years of drain work on what I think these things are gonna come in at, knowing where the construction climate is, knowing who can bid on it, the type of work and all that stuff, and the costs already into it.
I appreciate it.
We have done scope meetings with property, with different, so each of the districts, the ones we already did, we did scope meetings on those. Little Glen, we decided not to because we had so much interaction with the property owners when we sent out the most recent survey, where we told them this is where we're looking at for schedule. They already knew the cost of everything, that there was gonna be $2,000 or less per property. And we got such good feedback on all our responses that we decided not to do a scope meeting, because we also gave them preliminary plans as well, so they could see what the work looked like. But Steve did do that, and all the ones like Bluffs and South Bar both had scope meetings. Schaumburg actually had a scope meeting with the prior design, so we've done scope meetings as part of it. I will say one thing in regards to, because I have, Tim has interacted with some property owners and explained the drain process to them, is that the law does not provide a very democratic process, okay? And it's done for a reason, because the law is really written such that once the drain commissioner receives a determination of necessity from a board, it's basically written so that there's no way really to stop a project and get you to construction as soon as possible with a minimal amount of obstructions to stop you from getting there. Okay, there isn't, a cost aspect that's involved in it. The cost aspect is the drain commissioner determines the scope of the project based on the district, what the need is of the work, and takes that all into consideration. So the law is set up not for that. We've tried to give as much openness, like this is on the website. We try to update it every 3 months. I know on Schaumburg, we've done an update twice since August as part of that. So we've tried to go above and beyond and being more open as part of it. But we're still working within the law as far as how it's set up. If we gave everyone an opinion on something, everyone's gonna have a different way in which they should tell Tim to tackle something. And he's gotta weigh all that into consideration ahead of time.
All right, we'll go to Commissioner Wessel, and then I'm gonna keep going all night.
Yep,
on it,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think I'll talk to Tim separately
Oh, go ahead.
afterwards.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
All right, anybody else have any follow-up questions? The only other question I have is, you have a handout here on the Lake Bluffs drain. I've had a few constituents reach out to me, and there was, I guess, some confusion as far as assessments and stuff, but I think you answered that question based on what Commissioner Elgar requested on just
Okay,
maintenance and stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And,
just determine what this.
and we are gonna have a meeting here soon.
Right,
You know,
and I
like
appreciate that,
beginning,
so.
yeah.
Tim's sending out an email explaining the cost, the assessment, but then we also gonna have a separate meeting with that.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
when we did the maintenance assessments, some of that I had good communication with all the residents in Lake Bluffs during construction. And in this fall, I dropped the ball on that, on communicating that we were doing the maintenance assessment. We had met with them, but we didn't make it clear that it was part of it. So we let the township treasurers know. We had reached out on South Bar to their association, but the village, but that one fell through the cracks, and that's my fault.
Yeah.
So,
I appreciate
So we're
that,
gonna-
so, no, but I know Lake Bluff Drain, it's a huge improvement from what it was, so.
Yeah,
and-
okay,
And I've
all
talked with
right.
a lot of the residents, they're very happy with the project, and
Okay.
just proud of that,
Great.
I appreciate you following up on that, so.
Okay, yeah, we will.
thank you.
Comment. All right, with that, we'll move on to our first public comments. You have, first we'll start out with the 1 minute, general topics of county concern. Do we have anybody that wishes to offer public comment, on the one item, agenda here tonight? Hey, Kathy. Oh, no, right.
Good evening, Kathy Dawkins, Leland Township. I just want to say that, Mr. Dyer, it's my understanding we're almost at your 1-year anniversary. And there's a whole group of folks in this county that really appreciate what you have been doing this past year. We're very pleased with what's happening with the county in your direction. And I appreciate that the board is backing you up. And thank you again, and I hope to see you for many more years.
Any other public comment on items of 1 minute? All right, if not, we'll move on to the 3 minutes. Any members that wish to address the board? Yes.
I'm Steve Scales from Lake Leelanau, and I wish to comment on our drain commission situation. Tim walked out. I wish he had stayed here with Brian. Hopefully we'll record it in the minutes. But nonetheless, in their presentation, they talked about the savings. And my comment on that is it's laughable if it's not quantified. And I move on to my main point. Brian Cincy, who was just here, has been paid over $700,000 in fees in the last 4 years. And these are just for some projects that the construction hasn't even started. I appreciate Rick's comments earlier when we looked at what are our other options to address these things. Our county, and you heard it over and over again, well, Steve Christensen did this, I inherited this. Brian's been on this ride the whole time and has been collecting consulting fees. And we don't seem to consider our options, our resources and expertise that we have in the county. Moving on, in terms of, my concerns with the drain commissioner, and I've heard from other municipalities in Leelanau County as well that have called me up, and I've talked to you guys before about Schaumburg. But, the important thing is I've asked to meet with our drain commissioner as a elected official, and he's refused to meet with me without having Brian available. And I know we incur a cost. I cannot even have a casual conversation with him without Brian Cincy being in the room and to consider options. The exclusivity that we seem to do, the $700,000 in consulting fees, really concerns me. I've heard other people, including our sheriff in here, asking for $15,000 for more marine patrols, and he can't get it. And when I see the costs that we spend on a consultant, for which I think some of the projects, and I'm not an engineer, I don't think they're necessary and or they could be, handled alternatively. What I would like to see is greater transparency. I would like the county site updated more often. I would like residents to know more of what's going on. I've got people all over Schaumburg, and Brian talked about just a one-time fee. Not necessarily. Some of the assessments on the Schaumburg project right now exceed $10,000 for people that don't have that money. And Brian has suggested they could finance it over 20 years. And so it's, I want more transparency. I want to see how the cost allocations work. MDOT, Leland County Road Commission, residents, and townships, because townships also pay for this, and they're not typically a budgeted item.
All right, Mr. Scales, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
My name is Rebecca Hendrick. I live in Solon Township, and I would like to speak to the HR resolution on the agenda. I've addressed the board in the past and introduced myself as a retired professor of public administration and finance. I've taught local and state government budgeting, strategic planning, financial management for 35 years at universities in Wisconsin and Chicago. I've also worked with a lot of state and local governments in those states. I think the county's path of taking HR and finance out of the clerk's office makes a lot of sense, and it will allow the county government to move forward in a way that will help improve governance, personnel relations, and financial sustainability. Leelanau County needs professional government and employees in administration, HR, and finance that understand the best practices in these areas. I believe that keeping these functions or even some of these functions in the clerk's office is not at all in the best interest of county government. Although these administrative functions have been in the clerk's office in the past, as they are in many counties in Michigan, I think Leelanau County is facing challenges that require a more professional and knowledgeable approach to finance and HR that can be than what can be provided in the clerk's office. I don't know if you have a comptroller or a chief financial officer. I believe you have a CFO form of government, but the more you as the board can formalize finance and HR as separate functions from the clerk, I think the better off you guys are going to be in terms of organizational stability and having clear lines of authority and operation for employees. I think the county's history of, I think it's what, 6 finance directors, 3 administrators, different people in HR in the last 5 years or so is killing you guys. As I have seen before in other small local governments, this kind of turnover and leadership change are hidden but significant. So I encourage you to move forward with the resolution. I also want to say that I think the best local boards focus on the big picture items, the policy stuff, and leave the day-to-day things to professionals. I think the Leelanau County Board should be identifying issues and factors that could have big impact on the county. Things like, you know, what's going to be happening with climate change and the ice storm and how's that going to affect the county. Housing shortages for medical staff are going to be needed to take care of all the new retirees who are moving into this county. I like my boards to focus on developing policies and programs to deal with these kinds of problems, hire the best people to deliver those programs and policies, and then let those people do their work. With respect to hiring the best people, I think you have a very good administrator in Mr. Dyer, and now you also have a new finance director, which is great. Mr. Dyer, I think, is dealing with a very difficult situation with split authorities for key administrative functions, employee turnover, and shortages in these areas. I think it would be a mistake to lose him and the momentum that the county has gained recently to the continuation of this revolving door of key staff that has existed in the county in the past. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes, Mr. Cantwell?
Thank you. I appreciate your comments earlier, questions to the drain commissioner. You may have all seen this.
State your name just.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim Cantwell from Lake Bluff Subdivision.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've all seen this flyer regarding the Lake Bluffs project. In this one section in the center of the flyer, it says the drainage aspects of the roadway will be the responsibility of the drain commissioner, and the paved driving surface will be the responsibility of the homeowners association. That's exactly what we were told when we were planning this project. We were never told that there was going to be ongoing maintenance costs in our project. And we certainly were not informed at any time about any cost overruns, which totaled $7,998. The reason for these cost overruns, you may not be too surprised, are from errors that Brian Sensi made in engineering, some of maybe supervisory errors, but they cost money to fix. They involve driveway aprons. My one neighbor could not even pull a trailer over the end of his driveway onto the road without the trailer getting hung up. And that's how it was engineered. So that had to be torn out and redone. My other neighbor at the end of our road, she never had the road continued to her home. She was the only neighbor in our subdivision. After paying thousands of dollars, like all of us did, I paid $26,000 myself for our project.
she had no road going to her driveway. That had to be changed. So these cost overruns were caused by failures in the planning, the engineering, the supervision, and now they're wanting to assess it to us. And I don't think that's fair. I think that should be borne maybe out of the $700,000 in fees that Brian Sensi has collected from our county instead of from our residents. Though our drain commissioner, Tim Onan, is new, I can appreciate that. But he is delegating way too much to Brian Sensi. We have had not one response from our drain commissioner to any of our inquiries. We feel that this lack of oversight responsibility of our drain commissioner is dangerous. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. You've all heard that before. And I think this is what we have to fear here. He cannot answer a question regarding the drains. Any specific question, he always has to refer to Brian Sensi. How in the heck is he going to oversee what Brian Sensi is doing? How is he going to look over the receipts of the projects and verify that there was accuracies there? How is he going to hold accountabilities when there was errors made? He can't. He's not doing that. And that's causing us to expend a lot more money. By the way, Brian Sensi received a 7% raise from 2024 to 2025. I don't think there's anybody in this room that got a 7% raise in their salaries if they're still working. So thank you.
Wait.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jim White, resident of Sutton's Bay and chairman of the Leelanau County Republican Party. I just have one quick question to start this off is, have you seen Sean Cowan's manifesto that he wrote when he resigned his job, which is the same job you're thinking about hiring him for? If you haven't, you should, because there's lots of good information in there. For instance, Sean Cowan said that he thought the government employees here were terrible. They made fun of him because he was doing so much data entry. They were uncooperative. He also complained about having to work more than 35 hours a week. Do you think a management employee should be confined to 35 hours a week?
I don't know that letters of resignation are public information to be shared from the commission desk.
I'm a member of the public. That's all I know is I got the information. So I don't know why it's not public information, but I'd like to reclaim my time.
It came from an employee then because
I don't know.
Public comment, you're not supposed to be talking.
I call a point of order.
No.
Let Mr. White finish, please.
Yeah, I'd like to reclaim my time as well. Anyways, he says he believes the people of this government center are problems. Yet when he came in here tonight, he said he loves them all. He said, oh, they're great people. I don't understand that dichotomy. Does he want to work more than 35 hours a week? According to his resignation, he said he didn't. He was upset that he had to work more than 35 hours a week. He also was upset because he had to work remotely, or he couldn't work remotely. In my old-fashioned way of management, the manager should be available when his people are at work. Why does he want to work remotely? Is he going to let his employees work remotely? And he also complained because he doesn't get more vacation his first year. I don't know about all of you, but in my time in private industry, I never got a vacation my first year. So at the end of the day, when he came up here and asked if you had any questions, I think you should have had plenty of them. When I see the contrast between the treatment of our county clerk and our former finance director with the way you treated this gentleman in terms of the amount of respect that was given, I can't help but notice the contrast. I have to wonder why the treatment is so different and whether the driving issue might be gender, because that's been an issue for this board in the past. By the way, Mr. Cowan also had a problem with the Board of Commissioners. And I think some of you were on that board when he was complaining about you. You were unresponsive. You didn't communicate with him. When he brought issues, you didn't handle them. I think you need to think long and hard before you rehire this gentleman after you already quit the job twice. And if you do hire him, the last thing you should be doing is thinking about giving him a multi-year contract, because we've already seen how that works, and it's not a good thing. Thanks a lot.
Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I have to ask you a question first. I'm Elisa Cantwell. I live in Lake Bluffs Drive, so I'm part of the Lake Bluffs Drainage Assessment. And the president of our road association was not able to be here tonight because of a scheduling conflict. And she wrote some notes. I don't know if I'm allowed to read them from her.
We have it.
You have it?
But
Okay.
if you sit down and talk to the mic, then the rest of the room could hear
You can
you.
hear it. Okay, thank you. Okay, again, I'm Elisa Cantwell, and I live in Lake Bluffs, East Lake Bluffs Drive, part of the Lake Bluffs Drainage Assessment. This letter is from Mrs. Christy Burns, who is the president of the Lake Bluffs Road Maintenance Association. Dated February 17th. Dear Administrator Dyer and Leelanau Board of Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to share my opinion on the Drainage Commission issues being presented at the Executive Board meeting this evening. I have reviewed the packet posted on the website. The documents appear to all be generated by Brian Sensi. I did not see any presentation information from the Drainage Commissioner, so I can only assume he has no input to offer. The photos present accurate depictions of Lake Bluffs / Lake Court roads before and after the Lake Bluffs road drain. Some key counterpoints to the written presentation that's online. Number one, quote, the drainage aspects of the roadway will be the responsibility of the Drainage Commissioner, and the paved driving surface will be the responsibility of the homeowners association, end quote. At the time the owners signed agreeing to the proposed project, a homeowners association did not exist. Lake Bluffs property owners were told on several occasions by the former drainage commissioner that the quote county takes care of the drain, property owners will take care of the road. So why would we think otherwise? Furthermore, when worded as above, all owners interpret this as the Drainage Commission financially and physically bears responsibility for the drain, while us property owners are financially and physically responsible for the driving surface of the road. And as a responsible group of property owners, we have already begun setting aside a portion of our annual dues to maintain the road surface accordingly. Number two, quote, regular emails and letters were sent to all property owners to communicate progress on the project and explain the assessing portion of the drain project, end quote. I, meaning Christy Burns, was the contact person for the Drainage Commission and Brian Sensi, and in turn shared with all the other owners whenever either of them shared an update with me. All communication prior to the project construction indicated that owners would have a single assessment for their individual portion. No communication received regarding any future assessments for maintenance or repair work. Neither this presentation nor any communication from the Drainage Commissioner gave any indication that Lake Bluffs property owners are financially responsible for future drain maintenance. I know my time is coming to an end, so you have the letter. There's a little bit more on here. Mrs. Burns does also point out that she also has had an issue trying to have communication with Mr. Tim Onan. She's put specific dates on here, which she made a phone call, followed up with the email, and to not hear anything yet. Of course, questioning where did this assessment come from and why were we just finding out about it now? So those are the comments again from the president of our Road Association in Lake Bluffs. Thank you for your time.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Bob Price. I'm treasurer for Empire Township. And this is about the South Bar Drain District. There's a maintenance fee this year, and the township received their portion of that, which was the total was $16,000, and our portion is 4%. I immediately contacted the treasurer's office because they sent the bill out and asked for a line item breakdown of the 16,000. And got a response from the treasurer's office they emailed Brian, and he sent back a lengthy legal opinion of how they could collect the maintenance fee on a drain district. And then he took the 16,000 and broke it down into categories. There was 8,900 roughly in overruns. There were 2,500 in cleaning out the drain for 2025, 2,500 for cleaning it out in 2026. I believe 2,000 in permits that weren't expected that they needed. And I think 2,600 in grading and some fencing. So I contacted the treasurer's office again and said, and originally I said, I'd like a line item explanation of the 16,000. And so she sent back an email to Brian and gave me a copy of the response. And it came back and it doubled up on the legal authority of how they could collect it, but the same breakdown. And that was the 1st of December, the first week in December. On the 15th of December, I emailed Brian and Tim myself requesting a line item breakdown of the 16,000. I have not had a response yet. After that, I filled out a FOIA request, sent that in, and the first response I got back from that was just a breakdown, I think, from the clerk's office of what had been spent. And it was just, again, lump sums. So I called the clerk's office and asked if I could get a breakdown of that. And very nicely, they said they weren't in charge of that part anymore. So I'd have to call the finance department. So I talked to Megan Cipher, and she was very helpful. And she said, well, do you want invoices for that maintenance fee? And I said, that would be good. So I got a packet from the FOIA on and it was two breakdowns. One was from the contractor and all the charges they had presented and then paid. And then also one of the Brian's engineering firm. And I went through all of that and I couldn't find any charges that related to the maintenance fees. So then 2 weeks ago today, I called Tim's office and he was actually there and answered the phone. And again, I said, I'd like a breakdown of this 16,000. And he said, well, I just got a email from Brian and your name was mentioned. And he said, I'll look into it and get back to you. I haven't heard a word back from him yet either. And so if I'm having this much trouble getting a $16,000 itemized bill, I can't imagine what the public is going through. And the communication you guys brought out earlier, I've had.
Your 3 minutes are up, so
Okay.
we can wrap it up. I'll administrator afterwards would be great, so.
Asked to let them finish.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Can you wrap it up real quick or?
Yes,
Okay.
I just, the communication, it was brought up earlier in the initial letters, a lot of the people in the drainage district paid up front. They were under the impression that would be it. The maintenance fee was, according to them, was never brought up in any letters or communication. So they were shocked that they were having more fees to pay for. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'm Tom Cashier. I am in the South Bar Drain District and maybe in the Little Glen Drain District. This is a piece of paper that shows a $300,000 estimate. Give that to you.
It went from 300 and rough 300,000 for the estimate. That's for him, or he questioned.
You can give that to the clerk if you want
Oh, I go that way.
part of the record.
Okay. That's where it came in, to 300,000. Now it's roughly 528. My personal experience in this, it's going to be over 600,000 because of different things that I guess so. So it's not 250 feet he's talking about adding, it's 363. Our property that is 327 feet, and then he's going about 25 feet onto two properties outside the drainage district that are not getting charged for it. This is the low spot I sent you the picture of. So the price went up, what, 228,000. He said to add a low spot. This is the low spot that was MDOT and designed by Elmer's, engineered, approved by the drain commissioner in about 2025. The second picture you saw is 4 hours later of a picture at about a 1-inch rain. Okay. I found in the drain district book, now I am not an expert, but it says for a catch basin, you guys can check this, prove me wrong, but it appears that that drain catch basin should get 24 to 72 hours to drain. And we're talking about spending 228,000 for something that was approved by MDOT and the drain district. We have not been told anything what is wrong with it. I can fix this problem for $1,000. I am one of the owners at Shady Shores that is being added. So it's much cheaper for me to volunteer my time. And all I can do is put a sump basin there and a sump pump or a catch basin. I don't understand why 1,000 gallons has to go 500 feet down the road to go into the lake where it can just go into a drain. So we've never had any communication of a complaint from MDOT or the drain commissioner on this. We're just going, we put you in. No reason, no explanation, just like we can do it. So another thing from the South Bar Drain District, there is actually a line in here where it says corrections request response. So he got paid $11,068 to make corrections. And we're at 3 minutes? Okay.
Thank you. You have any other public comment? All right. That will move on. Thanks, public comment and alternate comments. We'll move on to commissioner comments. Mr. Wessel.
Yeah, I have two, and they're both short. First of all, my first comment, Commissioner Bonnick, I apologize, but we all have a duty to call for a point of order if we think our rules of respect are being violated. And the only person that can rule on that point of order is the chair. I do believe Mr. White's comments were out of line. I believe they were attacking a valued contractor employee, and I don't believe the information he shared should be shared. Second point I want to make, and I know the clerk, keeping our minutes is a tough job. I don't know how she does it all, but I looked at the minutes from last Tuesday's meeting. And I take that seriously. I got up this morning early to read them all. They're 28 pages. I don't think that's enough time before a meeting to approve minutes. But I will say, I don't know how the clerk can put everything together at the time she does, but that was a part of my issue. But a bigger concern of my issue is I looked at the standards of what we have in our minutes. And I think we have too much narrative, too much opinion, too much quoting of people. And I think best practice is to take what actions, who attended the meeting, what were the actions, what were the decisions, how did people vote? And I think we have to be careful of including too much information in our minutes that is really subject to just the clerk's interpretation or any one of our interpretation. And when I got done reading the 28 pages, I couldn't even remember if some of that stuff happened. And I also didn't like the statement that was made about me. So I would like to have us look at policy 105. I'd like to have us, it was developed in 1992. It's a very brief statement about our minutes policy. I think Mac has some good suggestions. I think we have best practices out there. And I think it's time to review our policy for meeting minutes and see if we can agree on a little bit more, a little bit less verbatim transcripts and a little bit less subjective comments and a little bit more action oriented. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Robbins?
I was gonna say I support that. I want to move on from that. I want to say something. Jerry, I invite all of you next week. Our high school kids start basketball tournaments, boys and girls. So let's forget about what happens in here tonight. Let's go cheer the kids on. They're the ones that count. On another note, I'd like to, last week was kind of cloudy. Last couple of days it's been sunny. But I'd like to thank our administrator, our chair, for all the work you've done in the last week or so, putting together our finance department, and hopefully, we can move forward from here. But thanks for your work.
Commissioner comments? Mr. Wessel or Mr. Winnie? Sorry.
Yeah, I just believe that when the public are speaking, it's inappropriate to have to call a point of order or try to interrupt. Right, so I would have to disagree with Commissioner Wessel on that. Because the public comment is for public comment, and we need to listen to it. And we don't need to interrupt it.
Any other commissioner comments?
I would just say that resignation letters are part of our public documents. You don't have to submit a resignation letter, but if you do, public document, you're trying to say something to that government. And sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's not positive. But you gotta take them the way they come.
All right, any other commissioner comments?
I'd like to say that I'm glad we've hired a finance director. Thank you.
All right. I'll just offer, I know our executive session, we had some discussion on the millage that senior services was proposing, and senior services is proposing to have a meeting just with their commissioners. And unfortunately, Commissioner Wessel will not be able to attend. That before executive meeting, so I guess I will attend on his behalf just for that one meeting as chair, unless somebody else wishes to step in that role just for that one meeting for our executive session, so they can send a recommendation to the board.
What's the date?
They're trying to find a date, so it's pretty much just, yeah. So I'm willing to step in that role unless somebody else, I guess, has a burden on them to attend that for recommendation, so.
I'd love to, I just don't know if I'm gonna be here.
No,
So I can't.
I guess I'll fill in that role, so, but I just wanted to update the board, so it's not, yeah.
We have no idea when the date is.
They were, from my understanding, working on a date, and Commissioner Wessel could not attend, so I'm just gonna hand it to me and say, hey, how do you want to handle this? So, do you want to step in that? Okay. All right, put Commissioner Walter in there, and I'll let senior services know, and they'll be in touch and kind of figure out a date for you, or Commissioner Albert. So, thank you. All right, with that, we're on to our consent agenda items. I'll just read a quick note here. Purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one motion without discussion. Any commissioner may ask that any item on the consent agenda be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will automatically be respected and will not need a second. I will note that I want to move the governance workshop on. I'll just do it at 2B. There was some conflicts on the date there, so I want to make sure we can clarify that before we approve it, I guess. So that's the only reason for it. Other than that, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support.
Support it. All right, we'll go over the roll call.
Did Commissioner Russell say, did you say as presented or amended?
Yes, amended. Because we amended, I think.
Yes, could you use the word amended? And who seconded that?
Commissioner Bunny.
Okay.
So it was Commissioner Bunny.
Okay. The roll call vote, Commissioner Wessel,
Yes.
Chairman Yoder,
Yes.
Commissioner Allred,
Yes.
Commissioner Bonnet,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you. All right, next up, our first action item is senior services, out-of-state travel. I believe there was a handout or whatever, an updated motion.
Yeah, it's
Bunny?
an update.
Yeah. I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve Dana Vander, director to attend the American Society on Aging 2026 conference to be held April 20th through the 23rd in Atlanta, Georgia. Funds to come from the Senior Services Education and Travel account with the total expenses not to exceed $3,500.
Support.
Moving and supported, discussion.
I just want to say thanks for getting that up to amount. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I did remove the recommend out of that.
You what?
I did remove recommend out of that when I made the motion.
Yes.
All right, any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Next, we have item number 2, which is Board of Commissioners HR resolution. I'm going to propose to postpone that until our March meeting, as mentioned in the executive meeting. I wanted legal counsel's opinion based on some of the issues that the court brought forward and make sure our resolution is up to date and everything. So, and we have not received that from my understanding. So I'd like permission just to postpone that till our March meeting for that item. Motion, I think.
I make a motion that we table this until our executive meeting in March.
I would say.
Supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Next up, we have, that's a B2, item 2A, which is the 2% appreciation letter. I believe you have it all in front of you. Commissioner Robbins, you brought that forward.
The letter that our administrator drafted, I'd like to go a step further, we sign that letter, but what I'd like to do is have us as a board, first of all, as Leelanau County Board of Commissioners, I'd like to express gratitude and appreciation to the GT Dan award, the awards winner 2016 2% grant. I'd like to have that letter placed in the Leelanau Enterprise for that.
All right, is that a support, is that a motion?
I recommend it.
Moved and supported. Discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. Thanks. Now, if you have the original copy, I'll get it signed and I'll make sure everybody signs it before they leave tonight, so. And then next, we have governance workshop, which is moved down. I just wanted to clarify, I contacted the clerk to see if the room was available for March the 25th. And from my understanding, there was 2 meetings that day that I believe some commissioners might be attending. So I wanted to double check to make sure everybody had their calendars before I go ahead and sign that after tonight. So there are alternative dates they gave to me as well, which is April the 7th, April the 8th, or April 15th. This room is available before lunch, or before lunch, after lunch, I believe it's used. But I did check with MSU, and usually that session lasts about 2 to 3 hours. So if we held it in the morning, I think we should be fine for the afternoon, but I believe there was a, was it a dam authority meeting here on the 25th in the morning? So, right. So I guess I just wanted to see.
So was that 2 damn meetings?
Yeah.
So are you checking on those dates? right
Well,
now?
that's what I'm asking. I guess that's why I had the clerk send out the email to see, to make sure you check your calendars, because April the 7th is an alternative date that would work for this building here. There's meetings here in the afternoon, but if we begin at like 9:30 or so, we should be done by the time the meeting starts. So I just wanted to verify that with everybody before we go ahead and approve that, I guess. Is everybody okay with the 7th, or?
I move we do it in seven. Do you need a motion or?
I will, yeah, I'll need a motion then to, I mean, it was in your cheat sheet, so I don't, you could put that in the motion, I guess, with Dave, but I will just need a motion to approve that again, because I pulled it off the consent agenda. On page 3, if I remember correctly, on the bottom.
At consent item 7A.
Money.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners enter an agreement with MSU Beach Governance Workshop at the Leelanau County Government Center with funds to come from zero, the numbers noted ended in 801000, and to authorize the chairman to enter into the agreement with the approved vendor on April and for the date of April 7th, 2026.
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion on that?
And, excuse me, and the approved vendor is MSU Extension?
Correct.
Yes, I just mentioned.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. Thank you. Next, we got item number 3A, which is adjustment of credit card line distribution. But our administrator, I believe you briefed on it earlier, but I'll let him address that one.
As I indicated, the credit card in question is a business credit card with 3 current signers sharing $15,000 limit. And the proposal in the motion is to retain the finance director, Sean Cowan, at $7,500 limit, increase the administrator's limit to $5,000, and to retain the county board chair's limit at $1,000. The county board chair acts as basically the prime holder of the account, and the only one that can make changes. That's why we need a motion to do this.
Mr. Bunny?
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve issuance of a state savings bank credit card to the finance director with a $7,500 credit limit, and increase the administrator's credit card limit to $5,000, retain the board chair limit at $1,000, and authorize the county board chair to sign all documents or take any other steps necessary to implement this motion.
Support. Support, discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Next item we have for closed session. I believe you have a motion written in. Mr. Money?
Yeah, I was wondering if we could have public comment before we go into closed session, if that would be all right, or is that, is that a problem?
It's fine with me. We'll probably very likely be taking some action, as the administrator said, coming out, so. But it could be an hour.
Yeah.
Closed
it should
session,
be
so.
an hour.
But if the board is okay with that,
Won't let us. So,
if what's that?
he's saying, no, it won't be that long.
Oh, okay. Won't be that long. Okay. Everybody want to go ahead with it then, or do you want public comment?
Well, I would make the motion that we move public comment up ahead. I would. for that.
Ahead of financials and everything? We'll just
Yes,
have
do
public
something
comment
right
here.
now.
Okay.
and then we can go into that.
We can do that. So we'll have our final public comments, which you have 5 minutes to address the board with any item.
It
So,
needs to be seconded.
oh, that's true. Sorry. And then we need a motion on that then, so.
I made a motion that I
Right.
support it.
So I vote. So all in favor of moving public comment up ahead of the closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, then we'll move on to public comments. You got 5 minutes to address the board. Kathy?
Kathy Dawkins, Leland Township. I am not an attorney. I am a former government employee of over 37 years. And I am very unhappy, very disappointed, and very upset to hear somebody come in here and reveal information from somebody's resignation letter. Now, I looked up FOIA under Dana Nessel's handbook, page 11. A record that, while prepared, owned, used in the possession of, or retained by a public body is not done so in the performance of an official function is not a public record. Is a resignation letter a performance duty of an employee? I don't think so. I'd like to see the description of every employee's job. And if it contains resignation letters, then if somebody wants that information, they have to do it through FOIA. Now, I didn't hear this person say that they got their information from FOIA. And I know who our FOIA coordinator is, so all we have to do is ask that person. And if they didn't, I'll tell you what, if I was this employee who had his information publicly talked about in this meeting, I would be talking to a personal attorney right now. And I want to know who released that information to this person who sat here and talked about that letter. I think it's wrong. It's unethical. It's immoral. It's not conducive to a functioning of this community. We are supposed to be working together. I got 5 minutes. I'm mad. You can tell I'm mad. How are we going to work together when we have people coming up here and talking about our personal business that has nothing to do with our job in this community? This man has come back. He has been accepted. He has been hired, and he's going to be working here. And now tomorrow he gets to come into his office and know that he had personal information in his letter. It's on YouTube. What responsibility? Who released that information to him? If it didn't go through FOIA, I see some problems for this county. And I think an investigation should be done by an impartial body, maybe somebody from the AG's office, to come in here and find out. And this is not the first time we've seen this happen here, where somebody comes in and Kathy Hartsdale, things were brought out about her too. Where is this coming from? I thought we were supposed to be getting over this. I thought we were supposed to be coming together. We're not coming together when people get this information, and whoever's leaking it to them is wrong. And I don't know who it is, but they better stop it. And I hope that somebody finds out, and I hope they find that they are in violation of FOIA, and I hope that they are severely punished for being that way. Because in a government employee, he also mentioned about, well, I don't get a vacation if I have a private job in the first year. Well, then maybe you better get another job, but it has nothing to do with a county position. County employees come in to serve their community. Those are the employees that we want. We don't want somebody who comes in here for other reasons. I worked, like I said, I worked for 37 years. My husband worked in the private sector. He got all sorts of benefits in expense accounts that a government employee doesn't get. But I did that because I wanted to serve my community. And I can't believe that this man who was just hired doesn't have those same reasons for coming back here. And he came back here with a new administration. So why is this resignation letter from what, 2 years ago being used against him by a member of the public who probably got the information illegally?
Any other, or Mr. Tosich, I think you had your hand up.
Steve Tostich from Solon Township. Chair and Commissioners. I want to speak to the narrative that the Finance Department is stable again. First, we wish Sean Cowan much success. We all want this to work for the benefit of the county. Let's look at public record. In May of 2021, the board voted to move Finance and Human Resources out of the clerk's office. Since that vote, the county has had 5 finance directors, 8 if you include interims, 2 resignations from Mr. Cowan, material weaknesses identified by our long-term auditor, repeated turnover tied to lack of infrastructure and employee support. This is not opinion, this is documented history. In July of 2024, Kathy Hartsfeld was promoted to permanent finance director with both board approval after serving as interim director. In November of 2024, the Leelanau Ticker reported that, quote, with a stable finance department finally in place, Leelanau County can move forward. Then the board scrapped the CFO idea that they had put in place because things were stable. In January of 2025, interim administrator Richard Lewis advised the board that the mission of establishing a stable and functional finance department had been accomplished. So as of late 2024 and early 2025, the department was publicly described as stable. Under that leadership, the county completed a clean audit. That's no small accomplishment. Government audits require long hours, coordination, internal controls, and institutional knowledge. Staff to work nights. The clerk's office assisted. The audit was clean. Now here we are in February of 2026. Today we have a recently terminated finance director with several years of institutional knowledge gone. An account clerk with less than 2 years of experience stepping into expanded responsibilities. A new hire learning governmental fund accounting, and an interim finance director returning for a 60-day trial after 2 resignations after what was described publicly as controlling him to take the position. Government accounting in a small community is not plug and play. It requires continuity, experience of current and past events and processes. A good finance director, as had been in place, is key, especially when a new auditor is being implemented. During a transition like this, in the middle of an audit cycle, all available resources like the clerk's office should be engaged as in the past for a successful audit. All the points I've just stated should give the board reason for concern whether the finance department is in position for success. The main points Mr. Collins stated in 2023 have not been resolved, such as lack of improved financial systems, experienced financial department staff. Also, you must consider that all experienced staff who are available must be utilized to ensure we have a successful audit of the county finances, which leads to 2 questions. First, if the department was considered stable in 2024, what structural changes were implemented to justify calling this current arrangement stable? Second, was this transition to a new finance director handled in the most responsible way? Back in August, when disagreements reportedly began between the administrator and finance director, could a professional common ground be found between them for the benefit of the employee and the county? If not, could a structured transition of finance department duties have been accomplished over several months, including cross-training and a fully staffed finance department? Instead, what the public has observed is employee suspension and termination for an unknown cause, uncertainty, short staffing, payroll disruptions, and now a 60-day interim reset. Finance department chaos. That may be within the administrator's authority, but it does not mean it was optimal governance. Authority does not remove the responsibility to use sound judgment, protect the community, minimize disruption, and protect the citizens of the county. Stability is not something we announce, it's something we demonstrate with consistent staffing, clean audits, accurate payrolls, and steady leadership over time. It is the board's fiduciary duty to their constituents to ensure that stability is real, not assume that our finance department is in a position of success going forward.
Any other public comment? Kowski?
Good evening. I promise I will not be mad. We have some interesting comments made today. One of them that is quite interesting, telling us that we need professionalism in our county. I did not know we had such a deficiency. I've never heard an audit that questioned that. But yet people are saying we need professionalism there. So I've been familiar with this present clerk for more than 40 years. I've also been familiar and know the prior clerk, Dorothy Wunderlich. That office has always exhibited a very high degree of professionalism and high degree of service in a very good and timely manner. The ticker has a article on January 24th, 2025, which tends to sort of, I will not read that, but it tends to coincide with the prior speakers, Mr. Thosage's commentary. So I'll leave you a copy of that because it's a good recitation of everything that's going on. We support and we trust and hope that after 5 agonizing and disruptive, chaotic, fiasco type years by these commissions, that we will be able to stabilize the finance department into some kind of at least credible stability. Thank you.
Hey.
I'm Patty Lesh and I'm from the village of Northport. And this is kind of in addition to what I presented at the last meeting. At the last time I was here, I talked a little bit about systems theory and organizational development from a family systems perspective. And I'm pleased that you have engaged the MSU to address the disruptions in the government and to get some additional training and maybe some help in some of the other areas. And I think that's a very good step. But I also believe that it's going to take more than that to undo the damage that has been done over the years with conflicts within the workplace. Early in my career, I attended a 360-degree leadership event, and it was presented by John C. Maxwell, a well-known business leader and business coach. This event changed my approach on how to work with others in whatever organizational setting I was participating in. It also improved my family life coaching techniques. This tool is based on the principle of servant leadership. And the success of any organizational system is determined by the moral compass of the participants in the organization. Each person in a system is a leader at every stage of their career, right on down to the janitor who cleans the toilets. A servant leader isn't afraid to get his or her hands dirty for the sake of the organization and the people who make the organization run smoothly. Self-serving practices of any individual will jam the cogs that make the system work. Are you jamming the mechanisms that weakens trust and productivity? I think that's each and every employee in this building needs to ask that question of themselves. So I made a comment last month, or when I was here the last time, and it seems as though people can spout off and everything, but they don't necessarily offer any solutions. So I come to you offering one small solution that for what ails this county. When I left here the last time, I considered buying each of the board members and department heads a copy of the 360-degree leader, but decided it would be a waste of my time and money. I've watched board members over the course of the last few years roll their eyes and look at resources with disdain that were provided by community members. Watching these behaviors makes me sad and it makes me frustrated. I have skin in this game. I'm a member of this county. I'm a resident of this county. And some of these issues are really big issues, but they start with each individual. And so the only way that I would encourage you to purchase this book, 360-Degree Leader, because it's each and every one of the employees in this building are responsible for being that servant leader and to create unity among one another in their workplace. So it seems like a little simple thing for somebody like me to just come up and give you advice and hand you a book, and probably a lot of people do that. But from what I hear and what I gather and the things that I hear from people, and I know people in the government system and, you know, their friends and acquaintances and things like that. Change starts with one person. It's not, change doesn't start from the top up or the bottom, or the top down or the bottom up. It changes with each individual. So I challenge you to pick up this book, give it a good read. Think about where you stand and what you can do in order to be that servant leader and that 360-degree leader that that invests in the people below them. Okay.
Thank you. Any other public comment, Mr. Cantwell?
Jim Cantwell, Lake Bluffs. I really do appreciate you moving the public comments. And I also appreciate that the true reflection of your willingness to listen to people that come to talk to you. I've noticed that in my last 2 meetings, and I very much appreciate that. I've talked to you a couple times about this issue in Lake Bluffs. I am Italian. I do like to talk, but I prefer to do it with a cannoli and a cup of coffee. But I haven't asked you what I would like to see done about this problem. So I'm going to touch on that in the 5 minutes here, and hopefully it won't take that long. But Mr. Sensi is indeed familiar with the drain code. I read the whole thing 2 times. Very boring. But in the drain code, it says the following regarding cost overruns. Such further assessment shall be apportioned, assessed, levied, and collected as provided in the first instance, and on the same percentage shall be collected in 1 year. This is 2 years after our project that we're being assessed for these cost overruns. And there shall be no review or appeal from such further assessment, provided that whenever by reason of embezzlement or other wrongful act. So it's up to you all to determine if the cost overruns and what caused them are due to wrongful acts. I'm not saying they necessarily have to be criminal wrongful acts, but they are wrongful acts. In my occupation as a dentist, before I retired, I was fully responsible for everything I did to its completion. And if I did something wrong, it was up to me at my cost to correct it. And I expect the same from my public officials and the people that they contract with. So my ask would be to take that $7,998 from the cost overruns and assign it to Brian Sensi, or dismiss it completely. But I don't think it's fair to the people of Lake Bluffs to have to pay that charge. The other thing is, as far as the ongoing maintenance, I think we're fully capable of monitoring our drainage system in our subdivision. And we don't need Brian Sensi going out there charging us $220 an hour to go look at it. We're perfectly capable of that. We brought our problem to the attention of the county, And we're perfectly capable of maintaining it, monitoring it, and if we need help, we call. So I don't think we need to be assessed this 2026 assessment. Our drains do not need to be cleaned out. We've had several of our neighbors look at it and they're perfectly fine. Everything is functioning fine. Our system is probably over-engineered, to be honest with you. But the problems that we do have that occur, I think we can deal with them on our own. And if we need help, we can call. And I think that's what I'd like to see happen going forward. So we don't have to worry about continuing assessments, possibly to pad somebody's pocketbook. So that's kind of what my ask is to make this assessment go away. We were never told of it. It is a breach of contract, basically. We were contracted with the drain commissioner to do our project. We were never informed of these issues about ongoing maintenance costs and cost overruns. And we are in a breach of contract situation, and I think that should be remedied. So thank you for your time, both times, and I look forward to talking to Mr. Dyer for maybe some remedies on this. Thank you. By the way, our members of our Lake Bluffs subdivision, if you could raise your hands, are here. There was one other here today too, but we are well represented with people that share my views. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Weezer?
Bill Wiesner, Elmwood Township. And as always, the only way we're going to have fair elections is one person, one vote, one day, in order to have no fraud. Simple solution, one person, one ballot, one vote, one day. And the reason I started doing this is because the chairman said there has been complaints that I take too long. I've got handouts and such. So they're going to start my clock here or over there. So I'm just combining them. This should not, I don't think the people should have every right to hear about the election fraud. And it's all over. Okay, this handout is from last Friday, was a talk on Untamed Nation. I think he's called Joe Altman, and gives all the information here. I've requested that it get up online because it's very important information. It's unpacking Dominion voting machines. It's only 35 minutes long. There's a link to it. You can listen to it. And you've got the transcripts, not perfect, but it's quite good. So this young girl, this black-pilled girl on page 1, she says our elections are effing rigged and literally don't matter anymore. She goes on for 1.5 minutes in the video. I didn't want to put that on there because she's got sort of a potty mouth there, but she's very sincere. And Joe says, let me finish what she's going to say. All of our elections, there's stolen elections right there. And she's not red-pilled, she's black-pilled. She's come to the conclusion that you cannot fix what is absolutely rigged from end to end. That's why the solution, one day voting, one person, one ballot, one vote, one day. You can see the election fraud everywhere. If you go to X, if you go to Facebook, you'll see it suppressed, they say. It's on page 2. And on page 3, oh yeah, Mark Cook was the main guy that was advising Tina Peters on the election. And he was able to look at all of the files that she saved. She backed up. She didn't want them erased. She was doing her job as a clerk. And here's what he said in bold there. I found a hidden web server running on this system. That's an easy way to take the ballots and get the votes there. There's just a lot in here. I've highlighted the important points. He says it's completely wide open. He didn't share it at the beginning because people weren't up to it. And plus it was the Biden administration. So now he's sharing this. And because it's so important to get this information out. Okay. It's an embedded into the database, and that's why they call it a stored procedure on page 5. I don't know, there's just so much here. And it doesn't leave a trace. He can do all this, switch the votes, and it doesn't leave a trace. And on page 6, he put this information into Grok, and within 3 seconds, it gave him the solution to do this, and it can do all these changes without a trace. That's on page 6. Going on to page, we've got 2 additions. Patrick Byrne on pages 11 and 12. And he says the problem is with Cuba and Venezuela. They're the ones that started it. They're the main target. China, Iran, Russia, and the CIA also. And so that's the most important thing to go on. There's a lot here. I hope you'll watch this 35-minute video. You can watch this girl. She shares quite a bit in the first minute and a half. I'd also like to mention election fraud. It's a world issue. It's a very powerful thing. They're certainly going to try. They tried in our area. Major breaches at Munson, Hagerty, TCAPS, Traverse City, and Grand Traverse County. And one last thing. These 19 Democrats all were very concerned in 2018. Please speak up, explain, anyone that's thinking there's no fraud, stand up and explain why they were concerned then and they're not now. Thank you for your consideration.
Wait.
Good evening again, Commissioners. I had not anticipated speaking twice tonight, but I felt like I should at this point. My name is Jim White. I am a resident of Suttons Bay and the chairman of the Leelanau County Republican Party. A speaker that referenced me earlier is apparently angry because she cannot handle the truth. Why is she not angry about the revolving door in the finance department? Why is she so angry about how I received information? If leaks did occur, which I don't believe they did, it is not my responsibility. It is the fault of the leaker, not the person who received the information. But for the information of this board and anybody who might be listening behind me, the source was a FOIA, and I will be happy to forward it to anyone who wants it. Anyone on the board, anybody in the audience, okay? But I have to warn you, it's not a fun read. It's pretty long and it's not exactly uplifting. The things that I said about it earlier are basically direct quotes or paraphrases of specific things that were said by the person who wrote the letter. The real question is why this board and possibly this administrator are so unwilling to do a deep dive on such a substantial issue. I don't know if the administrator has read the letter, but I think if he'd done even a cursory examination of the record, he would have found out and known some of these issues that I raised that seemed to upset some members of the audience so much. That was the issue that over the last several years, we've had 8 either permanent or interim finance directors, would suggest that this board should be very careful about making a long-term decision on this position without a lot of research and observed performance. But it appears that this board and this administrator are going to do exactly what we've done before, make a quick and precipitous decision that will probably turn out to be a problem in the future. I've only been talking to this board for about 13 months, but I'm sure that to all of you, it feels like it's a lot longer than that. However, unless I see changes in the approaches and processes of this board and their decision-making, I will continue to raise issues and point out where you should be making changes and setting new policy. The bottom line, serious questions need to be directed at Sean Cowan. The angry speaker who insinuated bad acts on my part apparently misunderstood me because she said that I complained about not having a vacation in my first year of a job. She also said that anybody who felt that way should find another job. That's the one thing I agree with her on. If that's the way he feels, he should find another job. That's the risk of speaking in anger. Because when you do, you're at high risk of saying something that may make you look foolish, but sometimes it can also reveal truth. And I'll let you decide if that angry speaker revealed the former or the latter. Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. That, we'll move on to motion for closed session. Albert?
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners go into closed session to conduct a strategy and negotiations session connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement with the Leelanau County Sheriff Deputies Unit of the POAL pursuant to MCL 15.2681C, and also consider 2 attorney-client privilege letters from Cole Stoker and Toski dated February 16th, 2006 under MCL.
26.
Pardon?
It should be 2026.
Sorry to interrupt you.
2006.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was kind of old.
My typo.
Now, holy cow. I will make that correction, which are both exempt from discussion or disclosure by state statute under MCL 15.2431G, with a closed session to include all county board members, the county clerk or the designee, and the county administrator.
Support.
Supported? Discussion?
I mean, if I may ask our attorney, and please, I'm sure you won't hesitate, do tell me to shut up when needed, okay? Well, is it possible that through this, we would be discussing a personnel matter in which we would become an appellate body?
No.
Thank you.
Have a discussion? Not, we'll have the roll call.
Commissioner Allgaier,
Yes.
Commissioner Bonnet,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Commissioner Wessel,
Yes.
Chairman Yoder,
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you. Not sure how long it will take, but we'll be back as soon as we can.
Say that. So we're gonna take.
We're not. I gotta need an idea.
We can have.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Right, right. Well, there's. I hope you go with that.
Why not? What's up?
No.
Hopefully I can do more.
That's right.
I know what's that.
That's what I heard. Nice day today. That's for sure. Yeah. Sorry, you guys have.
Write down my number. I better go in there for that. You might have another reason to reach out to me. I mean, we are neighbors. 4320066.
But I do want to hear what you wanted to talk about. Okay.
Do you like coffee?
Yeah.
You go to New Bowl when we both get back from Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Because of water.
So how long was your brother staying?
You're very welcome. I'll give you more.
Mission will be accomplished.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Checks and balances.
Really going somewhere. Hanging out.
Like, yeah, I could have. I wanted just a little more. But thank you. I didn't know time flies so fast for you. I thought it was the other way.
Water absorbed. So there are maybe other options.
Yeah, hi, I met you. Sullivan Township, a few months ago. Okay.
You gotta come. I mean, if you give me your picture of the property.
Hey, guys.
Hey, don't throw away. I gotta get. I smelled Ty's coffee, so I.
Yeah.
Well, I just over there,
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I just didn't want to show you guys.
That's why.
Make sure.
Oh, they're just in there.
Yeah, right there.
I'm hanging and I gotta get my walking stick out. You can walk my way.
Oh, okay.
I had some people. Put my house up. They had passed away.
File them, sir? Yeah, I believe your file. I find it very strange.
And I won. You did? Yep. I did the talking. Oh, wow. Yeah. Her husband took off. So I gave her. She had two. She had no problem, adding more to it, so I gave her some. But, I think I need this meetings about myself. Yeah. My sister and
I assume that, careful with my assumption. That's really I don't expect. Check on this sometime.
Well, anyway, I got after that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know exactly
After
remember all
you
details
won.
anymore, but
I know, but after you won, did you retire?
he had to fix the house up because they must have screened us. He had messed up the stove and it was just completely. Oh, first of all, I got somebody was, that I knew. So this is what to do, you can serve papers on.
You guys are staying around forever. You're not staying around the whole meeting.
Well, we're gonna go.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's okay.
I don't know.
Unless you're family, you don't usually stick around.
No, we watched, on the.
Oh, there?
Screen last time we were here,
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah.
At the end, just like he was talking.
Yeah, there you go.
He wanted to see who's talking.
Oh, okay. So you're still down there.
Remember last time you watched it?
Oh, yeah. That's good. Right, yeah, that was a good one. Well, that'd be one.
Go ahead. Well.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
All right.
I
let's
make a
go.
motion to go back into the open session.
Second.
All right, moved and supported, discussion, not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. Walter?
I move to ratify the total tentative agreement previously ratified by POAM Law Enforcement Division to authorize board chair to sign a successor collective bargaining agreement upon approval as to legal form by county attorney.
Second.
Moved and supported, discussion, not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. Walter?
I move to deny the complaint appeal of February 10/2026 termination of finance director Catherine Hartsfeld for failure to adhere to procedures of section 107, section 12, complaint procedure of the county policy.
Second.
Supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next, we're to review of financials. I'm assuming we have no questions on financials. No. Moving on to special reports.
Just give, oh, I got.
Assuming none. Commissioner comments? Everybody's asleep right now.
I have a question on our interim finance director. Are we gonna sign a contract with him or?
He's an employee, just like everybody else. He's an employee of mine. He's actually the finance director. He's not interim. He's only agreed to be here for 60 days. The offer that I made to him at his request was that it be limited to 60 days, but that we would have the option to extend that if circumstances were such that it was appropriate to do so.
And for salary, does he take over?
Yes, he just took over the
He
salary.
took over the same salary,
Same
so
salary. Yep, same
although
salary.
he doesn't have a contract, he
And Kathy.
working on the same,
Kathy
other
did
conditions.
not have the same conditions. He's an at-will employee, subject to the personnel policy 1.07, just as the previous finance director was.
Thank you.
Mike?
I'd like to make a move to approve claims and accounts for
We're still like
$255,000.
commissioner comments, so I thought.
Oh, all right.
we had Commissioner comments?
Yeah.
This is my comment.
You're a pretty boring person, you know?
Keep it going, Will.
Before you do that, I wanted to, because we have our own guest, our own lonely guest here. This is my brother from Texas, actually, that's here from the Air Force. That he's here. The operation, so appreciate him swinging by.
Weren't you excited?
I don't think he expected such a long meeting, but whatever, so.
Now you'll feel sorry for your brother.
I would like to make this meeting go another hour. I don't like feeding them because it costs me an arm and a leg to feed them. Let's go another hour. Well, let's feed them.
You'd just be hungrier.
All right, moving on now, go
We have
ahead.
Commissioner comment?
Yep.
Okay, real quick. After sitting here tonight, I think we just can't drop the ball for a whole another year. When the drain commission comes in here, we listen to both sides, we listen to the public, and I think we have some, especially the guy, the treasurer from Empire Township. I mean, we have some issues here, and I think we need to get them addressed here before we get too far into these.
I gave the Empire Township treasurer my card and told him that I would do my best to cut through any.
I mean, both sides brought up valid points, but I think we gotta get both sides together too.
And the real problem is going to be that the drain commissioner is a statutory office, and you have very little control over what he does other than control over his budget.
But we do have control over our seat invoices, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm headed.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's new. Sounds like he needs to be helpful if he listened to the YouTube on that.
I think he does. I think he
That would be
does,
helpful,
Tim.
because he
But
sounds like he needs to communicate
I've
better.
worked with a lot of drain commissioners throughout the state. And they come in, for example, the drain commissioner that I had in Calhoun County was an elected official a full-time employee, got a full-time salary of, close to $80,000, had 4 staff members. It was a completely different operation, but he also managed 100 drains because Calhoun County's flat and it has a lot of drains to create tillable land. And that's really what the drain code was intended to address, those kind of issues. And what a lot of what Brian was saying is true. There is not a lot of the drain code intended to take politics out of it and to avoid the kind of thing that the kind of complaints you're hearing today, and give you the ability to say, I'm sorry, that's not our job. But there are some limitations to that.
Other commissioner comments?
Silence is cool.
All right, Commissioner Money.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we approve claims and accounts for $255,050.10.
Supported, discussion, not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, motion carried 7-0.
I make a motion that we approve the post audit for $3,239,876.61.
Supported, discussion, not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, motion carried 7-0. That, adjourned.
Have fun.
Yeah. That's your assignment.
We need pictures of that pink sweater.